Hello Internet, I'm Scarecrow85, and right now I want to talk about Sonic Mania. Before I do though, you should know, spoilers, 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 everywhere. All the spoilers, sorry about that. This isn't actually a review, this isn't going to be a complete countdown of all the Easter eggs. This is just a video where I'd like to talk about a few of the things that I think maybe you may have overlooked, you might not know about, and a couple of Easter eggs that maybe aren't so well publicised. Like, you've almost certainly heard by this point about the Mean Bean Machine cameo, or the fact that there's a Sega Sonic popcorn machine, which was a real thing at one point, but there's some other slightly less obvious, slightly more obscure things that I'd like to mention, and also just some characters and locations that I think are worth talking about. So right off the bat, there is a train that Dr. Robotnik is driving at the beginning of the Mirage Saloon stage if you play as Sonic the Hedgehog. Did you notice that the two carriages containing that are oil containers are labelled OOZ? That probably stands for Oil Ocean Zone. And given that this location is shown to be right next to the Oil Ocean Zone at the end of the stage, I think that's a really cool little thing to note, and it tells us a little bit more about what Dr. Robotnik's getting up to in this world. The fact that he has to have a supply of oil, obviously, to power his machines and so on. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. Nice little nod. In this game, Metal Sonic shows up again. Now, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about Metal Sonic in this video. I've got a whole video on Metal Sonic, which I'll link in the description or at the end of this video. If you want to know more about him. There's not much to say about him in this particular game. His story is very similar to what it was in Sonic 4, and he's pretty cool. I really enjoy his stage, but what I really want to talk about is the reappearance of Silver Sonic, specifically the Silver Sonic from Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. The Game Gear games don't get enough references and mentions these days, I think, so it's really nice to see this little guy show up. He was the penultimate boss in Sonic 2. He was the final boss if you didn't have all the Chaos Emeralds, as was the case when I was a kid. He's how I finished the game. He's not very tough, he can't hurt you if you're spinning when he hits you, and he just bounces off you, which they actually use as a gimmick in this game. He's better animated, there's a little bit more character to him. He takes one hit to kill in this game and contains a little animal friend like a regular Badnik, and he's a little smaller than we remember him, but I do like the fact that he shows up. I just think that's a really cool addition and reasserts his position in the canon, so that's pretty neat. I'm pleased to see him show up again. Since we're on the subject of things from the Game Gear and the handheld games, a character who debuted on handheld exclusively was Fang the Sniper. He showed up in Sonic Triple Trouble. Now, Fang the Sniper is his Japanese name. He's known as Knack the Weasel over here in the West. Fang is also seen alongside Bean and Bark. Bean the Dynamite and Bark the Polar Bear. Now, both of these characters debuted and appeared exclusively in Sonic the Fighters, which was I think it was exclusively in Japan, a beat-em-up game. Built on the Virtua Fighter engine. It is available to play over here, but you know, usually via ROM and so on. I've played it. I played it on an arcade cabinet actually. It's pretty cool. Fang also appeared in that game. They have not appeared anywhere else. They are in the comics, but as you would know if you've seen any of my other videos, the comics and the games are two separate things. They're different continuities. So I'm talking about the games here. And in the games, Bean and Bark don't have any particular significance apart from that one fairly obscure game, so it's very nice to see them show up here, because this is the first time we've seen them in sprite form, and it's the first time they've appeared in a mainline Sonic game. Reasserts them as being part of the original sort of Sonic character lineup, which I appreciate. It always struck me as a bit odd that there were so many characters in Sonic's earlier games that got dropped from the roster as we went on. Certainly in the case of Fang, he was pretty much just replaced with Rouge the Bat, but for everyone else, they just disappeared. So it's quite cool to see them reappear here, although did they really reappear, or are they just illusions created by that one hard-boiled heavy character? Hard to say. Here's a thing I spotted during the Mirage Saloon stage, I'm sure, well, everyone will have spotted it, the giant caterpillar. But did you notice its design? It doesn't quite look the same as a standard caterpillar. It's got an unusual head. For me, I grew up with a Sega Master System 2. That was my main console as a kid. And one of the main games I had on it was called Sonic Chaos, which was Sonic and Tails in Japan. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a good game, but it's certainly one that elicits an awful lot of nostalgia from me. It's one of my favourite Sonic games, just because it's the one that I played to death as a kid. So I recognised that caterpillar pretty much immediately, and my suspicions were confirmed when playing through as Knuckles. And in Knuckles' first stage of Mirage Saloon, which differs from Sonic's, he fights that caterpillar in a boss battle that is identical, more or less, to the boss of the Gigalopolis stage in Sonic Chaos, in which you fight a caterpillar standing on end who shoots his body parts at you. And that's a fairly obscure reference that I was really pleased to see. I'm a big fan of the Game Gear and Master System Sonic series, so it's a real thrill to see these things getting referenced, so good job, guys. I really appreciate it. I feel like mentioning something that isn't in the game. There's an Easter egg that they overlooked, and you know, I'm not saying they should have put it in there, but it's just a curious thing. There's an Easter egg in Sonic 3, in Hydra City Zone. If you play as Knuckles by connecting Sonic and Knuckles to Sonic 3, and then play Hydra City Zone, when you enter the stage by falling into it, hold left on the control pad so that Knuckles goes over to the left side. You should land on a ledge, climb up the wall, and when you get to the top, in the background there's a statue of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's an Easter egg. I mean, it's obviously not something that's meant to actually be part of the architecture, because this is an ancient Echidna building, so they wouldn't have built a statue of a character who, you know, wasn't going to be alive for many hundreds of years, probably. That said, it's just a nice little nod for the gamers that, oh look, there's a statue of Sonic in the background, and it's only accessible and only visible if you play as Knuckles and you climb that wall. Well, Hydra City Zone reappears in Sonic Mania. You can do the same thing, you can play as Knuckles, you can climb that wall and you can look in the background, but you won't see a statue of Sonic. And I just think that's funny that they took out that Easter egg. I wonder why. Given that Mania is so full of Easter eggs, why not? It seems like a funny thing to take out. Anyway, what else? And a big favourite of mine, I've got a little figurine of this guy, Splats. The badnik called Splats the Rabbit. This thing was supposed to appear in Sonic 1 but got removed, and it's strange because, like I said, I've got a little figurine of this guy. I've got a whole collection of figurines from Sonic, and Splats was among them. He was in promotional material, he's all over the place, but for some reason he's not in the finished game. And he reappears in Mania. I say reappears, this is his first appearance in the Sonic series. A long lost character, Badnik. So, good to see you, Splats. I also think it's quite cool that he comes out of an ink pot in the Press Garden Zone, which is a newspaper printing facility, and when he hits the ground there's a big splat of ink on the floor. So it kind of gives his name some meaning as well. So good job, once again, really appreciate it. I think that's amazing. And with that, I could talk all day about the Easter eggs and hidden things in Sonic Mania, but those were just a few that I thought were kind of fun, and that maybe you hadn't spotted. I mean, obviously you're going to have spotted Metal Sonic and Fang and Bean and Bark, but, you know, it's just a few things there that I thought maybe might be of interest, so I hope that did interest you. I hope that was curious to hear, and just before I go, it wouldn't really be a Sonic game without that infernal drowning music now, would it? Here is me sucking at Sonic Mania and getting out of there by the skin of my teeth, and with that I'll end the video. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video.